Hello everyone, Kamal here from Extreme Excel Group. In this video, we're going to talk about logical functions in Excel. So in logical, we are talking about conditions, and if we are checking for a condition, the expected output will always be a true or false, because let's say we want to check whether a number is greater than 50 or less than 100. That is a condition. So the output for that condition would be either true or false. So the output for every logical function will always be a Boolean value. That means it will be either true or false. So we have multiple aspects of these functions. So if we have very simple conditions like let's say, as I talked about in validating a number, whether that is greater than 50 or not. So let's say my number is 60, and I want to check whether this number is greater than 50 or not. So the simple formula would be, formula in Excel always starts with equal, and I will check for this reference. So it will be picking this value, and I'll use greater than sign 50. Now this is a simple condition. It will be returning me true or false. So this number is greater than 50, that's why I'm getting true here. Now if I change the number to 40, the formula still picking value from D6, but that value is now less than 50, that's why I'm getting false. Similarly, if we have a number less than 100, let's say I put 50 here, and my condition is equals this less than 100, it gives me true. But if I enter a number greater than 100, then I'll get false. So these are simple conditions. If we have multiple conditions to validate, for an instance, let's say I want to check whether that number is greater than 50 and less than 100, only then return true, otherwise false. So let's say my number is somewhere between 50 and 100, let's say it is 65, so it should give me true in this case, otherwise false. So in this case, I'll be using AND function. So and here in brackets, I'll be putting multiple logical conditions. I can go up to n number of conditions here. The first logical test is whether that number is greater than 50 or not. Then every logical condition is separated by a comma. So after a comma, I'll put second logical condition, which is this number is less than 100 or not. Now if both the conditions are true, only in that case the output will be true, otherwise it will return false. So since 65 is greater than 50 and less than 100, I can expect true as output. But if I put a number greater than 100, in that case the first condition is passing, but second condition will fail, so the output would be false. Similarly, if I choose a number less than 50, even in that case the first condition will fail and second will pass, the output will still be false. So that means for AND, all the conditions need to be true. Only in that case the final output will be true. But in case of OR, if one condition out of all of our conditions is passing, the output will be true. So for example, if number is greater than 10 or number is even, I can expect output as true. So in that case, let's say if my number is 65, now this number is greater than 10, but it is not even, but still I can expect output as true. So for this, I'll be using OR function. The first condition is whether this number is greater than 10 or not, comma. The second logical condition is whether this number is even or not. So for that, I'll be using isEven function. Is even this number. Now I know that second logical condition will be false, because it is not a even number, it is an odd number. So this will be this would return false, but the first is returning true. So OR logic will evaluate and as it returns true, it will return me true as final output. So if my number, let's say, is less than 10, if I let's say put 8 here, in that case first condition is failing, but second condition is passing. That's why it is returning me true. But if I put 7 here, in that case both the conditions are failing, and that's why the final output is false. So this is about AND logic, OR logic. The next uh, way of logical functions, or next type of logical functions, maybe in the form of if then else condition. Let's say if we do not want output in the form of true or false, if we want a specific output, for example, if this value is equal to Gurgaon, only in that case return me output as India, otherwise return me rest of world. Now I do not want true or false as output. So in that case, I'll be putting that condition like this. If, now the logical test which I want to check should be placed here. Now the logical test is if this value is equal to Gurgaon, in that case return India, otherwise return rest of world. Now since this is equal to Gurgaon, it is returning India. If I put LA, it gives me rest of the world. The next part is multiple logics. Now it is very common that we have multiple conditions and we need to use these in combination. We may use multiple if then else. That concept is known as nesting. And we also we can face a condition where we see that if then else block is having multiple and OR logics, and they have simple further conditions inside them. And we have a lot of other functions in use, maybe text functions or date functions or any other type of functions. So let's say a very simple example. Let's say if a number is greater than 40 and and a number is less than 50, then return match found. Otherwise, print not a suitable match. So in this case, how we would be managing it? So let's say the number is 45. So the number falls between 40 and 50. That is okay. It should return me match found. And if that number, let's say, is 55, it should return me not a suitable match. So for that, I'll be using if condition if this number is greater than 40. Now here I need to put the logical test. So the logical test is not a single condition now, it is having multiple conditions. So for multiple conditions, I won't be putting it directly here. Rather, I'll be using AND condition, AND function here, because both the conditions are mandatory. That's why I'll be using AND. If these are optional, then we can use OR function. So AND, first condition is whether this number is greater than 40 or not, and second condition is whether this number is less than 50 or not. So the AND output of both is a logical test which will be returning a true or false, and based on that true or false, I can decide whether I need to print match found. If it is true, I need to print match found, and if it is not true, then I can print not a suitable match. So if I print 55 here, so it gives me not a suitable match. So this is how we added multiple conditions in a if-else condition. Now the problem statement may become more complex if we have a condition like this. If number is greater than 40 and number is less than 45, or number is less than 40 and number is even, then print lucky number. else if number is greater than 80, then amazing, otherwise print number is of no use. Now, uh, take an example that my number is 45 again. So the condition would be like this. If I start with the if block and I keep on writing the conditions like this, number greater than 40. So this number greater than 40. Now as I see further, I need to use an AND logic here, and that AND logic will be having another condition, number less than 45. So I'll simply cut this and I start a AND function. I'll put first condition as it is. Second condition is whether this number is less than 45 or not. These two conditions fall in an AND block, and after that I need to place a OR block, and after this OR I need to check another set of conditions. So that means I need to cut this part again, and I need to place a OR block outside it, and the first output, first input would be as it is what I have written so far, and the second the condition would be again a set of two conditions which are in AND. So now I'll be typing it like this: AND first is number less than 40, comma number is even. So is even this number. So I'm closing that and I'm closing that OR. So the condition is now okay. The test is okay. If this is true, in that case print lucky number. If it is not true, then what do I need to do here? I need to specify everything over here between this comma and this right bracket. So the else part I need to still put here, which is if number is greater than 80, then amazing, else number is of no use. So in this else part itself, I need to specify a if else condition, which would be if, and then I can start and close a bracket for this if block. Now I know that I need to specify all three arguments: condition, value if true, and value if false. The logical test is number is greater than 80. I have a simple one condition here. In that case, print amazing. Otherwise, print number of no use. Just close it and hit OK. So this means 45 is of no use. If I put 43, so it's a lucky number because it falls in this bucket. If I put, let's say, 46, it is of no use. If I put 39, so first is failing, but second is again failing. The first part of second is passing, but second one is failing. That's why again it is falling in this bucket, and this number is not greater than 80. That's why it is throwing this message that number is from no use. But if I make it 38, then both the conditions of second part would be passing, and that's why it will be returning me lucky number. But if I, let's say, make this number as 80, 81, in that case both these will be failing. It will be going in the else block. In the else block, it will be checking whether that number is greater than 80. 81 is greater than 80. It will be printing amazing. And if I, let's say, make it 79, it will be giving this message again. So this is how we manage multiple conditions, and we write a formula like this. Now it is also very important to handle the errors in our formulas, because all these formulas are dependent on input data, and that data may have some errors due to our calculations that we are performing. So most common errors are divide by zero, not a number error or reference error. So For example, uh, let's say I'm evaluating some percentage or doing some calculations where I need to divide one number with another. Let's say first number is here in this cell and second number is in this cell, and I need to perform a calculation, first number divided by second number. So as far as this number is greater than 0, I'll be getting right value, and I can write a formula here depending on this value, that if this number is, let's say, greater than 1, then print okay, otherwise not okay, something like this. But if, let's say, somehow this number becomes 0, in that case this calculation will be returning me an error, and if I try to evaluate something on the basis of error, I won't be getting anything, because error on something will be returning me as a error as output. So let's make it 5 right now. So 10 divided by 5 is 2, and let's say I add a simple if condition here. If this is greater than 1, then print wow, otherwise print oh. So because this number is greater than 1, that's why it is printing wow. But if I make it, let's say, 100, it prints oh. But if I make it 0, it neither prints wow nor prints oh, but it prints div by 0, because this part throws divide by 0 exception. It further cascades the same message to the next function and throws the same exception here as output. So if we need to handle this case, and if we want to print a specific message or do a specific calculation on these instances, then we can enclose this entire formula, whatever we have written, in a if error block. So if error, do this, right? So what it will be doing, if error, if there is error in this expression, then do whatever I am mentioning after this comma, otherwise do whatever you were doing as it is. So this is the best part. It will be doing the calculation as it is, as far as it is not seeing any exception. But if it sees any exception, it will be doing the second part. So let's say the second part is simple. I want to print that there is an error. So it prints that message there as it is. But if I make it as a number, it gives me the value. Now I not only can specify a text here, rather I can do some calculations here as well. So for example, I want to print this number divided by 100 in that case. So if I make it 0, so it will be printing t20 by 100, which is 0.1. So I can further mention more conditions here, and I can make it more complex depending upon my scenario. So this is how we play with the logical functions, and we always have liberty to drag and drop our conditions like this. So for example, if it is a simple test for checking whether the number is greater than 10 or not, so let's say if the number is 50 and I want to check whether this number is greater than 40 or not, it gives me true. For one value it is okay, but if I have more than one values, like a set of numbers, and I want to check it for all, I can simply write a formula in one cell and I can drag it from top to bottom, and I'll get results for all. So let's say now I want to check it for number greater than 60. So this value basically it is returning me false till here because 60 is again not greater than 60, but after that for all it is passing, and simply drag and drop will evaluate it for thousands of numbers in one go. So that's pretty much about logical functions. If you want to watch more, or if you want to know more about logical functions, if you have a specific problem statement, you may write to me at excel.microk@gmail.com. Goodbye. I'll be waiting for your queries.